Terrapins, defending Atlantic Coast Conference champions, began the new season dangerously inexperienced and finished with a series of heart-stopping comebacks that made NCAA history. The man who fits right in with this '84 team of destiny is third-year Maryland head coach Bobby Ross. Youth took its toll on the Terps in their first two games, but they rebounded to upset undefeated West Virginia, which gave them new confidence as they came home to play Wake Forest. In the second period, tied at 3 apiece, quarterback Frank Reich hit Alvin Blount, who went 50 yards for the score. The extra point made it 10-3 Maryland. The defense turned nasty as number 96, Ted Chapman, forced a fumble. Number 11, Chuck Fawcett, recovered, and Maryland had fine field position. A fake handoff gave Reich plenty of time to find Farrell Edmonds to make it 17-3. Wake Forest tied Maryland at the half, 17-17. Fullback Rick Bodanik used all of his 223 pounds to power in for the go-ahead score. Number 70, All-American center Kevin Glover was the Papa Bear all season, settling down his Cubs. His defensive All-American partner was number 55, Eric Wilson. Wilson was the heart of this rugged defense. Number 29, Bobby Gunderman, recovered this fumble, and Bobby Ross was beginning to see a faint touch of character in this young squad. Bodanik scored twice and ran for over 100 yards. Maryland had met and beaten its first ACC opponent of the season, but lost starting quarterback Reich with a shoulder injury. A 1-point loss to Penn State did little to dampen the spirits of homecoming. North Carolina State. The spirit of homecoming poured into Byrd Stadium as thousands returned to their alma mater and let it hang out. The shouting died down as North Carolina State took the field, and the Terps got down to business. Stan Gelbaugh, number 8, was the new starting quarterback. He handed off to his workhorse, Bodanik, who picked up good yardage on his way to a 3-touchdown day. At 23-7, still in the second quarter, quarterback Gelbaugh called his own number. It was 30-7 at the half, and Maryland wasn't through. All-ACC receiver Greg Hill pulled in one of his record-breaking 51 catches in 1984. Gelbaugh looked like a seasoned pro as he hit Farrell Edmonds down to the 5. Rick Bodanik followed outstanding blocking for another score. The defense shut down North Carolina State all day with big play defensive back number 1, Keita Covington, stopping this drive. The special teams had another fine day, pinning State deep in their territory. Number 39, Doug Burmeister, put the Terps up 44-7. The final was 44-21 Maryland. And the offensive line was becoming conspicuously dominant as they cleared the path for nearly 600 yards of offense. Rick Badonic was voted ACC Offensive Back of the Week. Fall covers College Park, Maryland, and players get a chance to relax after an impressive 43-7 win over Duke. They took their 4-3 record on the road for one of their toughest conference games at Chapel Hill, North Carolina. The Tar Heels of North Carolina had a score to settle with Bobby Ross and his Terrapins. Coach Ross was victorious in his first 2 games against them. This was a critical ACC matchup. A newcomer to the Atlantic Coast Conference, Bobby Ross shocked the traditional conference powers by winning the title in '83. Today, the Tar Heels would mimic the Tortoise and begin the contest like the Hare, taking a 10-0 lead. Stan Gelbaugh, still in for injured Frank Wright, staked his claim for the starting job with a fine drive that led to a Jess Atkinson 37-yard field goal. Gelbaugh drove them again down to the 11 where he had Rick Badonic for the tying score. Badonic warned the Tar Heels against forgetting about the Tortoise. The first half ended 10-10, but North Carolina went ahead 16-13 late in the third period. Gelbaugh hit Alvin Blount for 52 yards down to the 3. Badonic dove in for the go-ahead score, and it was the Turtle 20, the Hare 16. Maryland's persistence paid off on the ensuing kickoff as Doug Burmeister harassed the Tar Heel into a fumble, which number 51, Sean Scott, recovered at the 4. Blocks by number 82, Bill Rogers, and number 48, Tommy Neal, opened the path for Badonic's second score in less than a minute. It was Maryland 27, North Carolina 16. As the winning record of this team grew, so did its character. The defense stood the Tar Heels straight up, and number 1, Keita Covington, turned them upside down. When Rick Badonic scored his 4th touchdown of the day, it was all over. Stan Gelbaugh was the ACC Offensive Player of the Week, and Bobby Ross's Terps were 3-0 against North Carolina. Palm trees and a hot sun greeted Maryland as they traveled to Miami to play the 6th-ranked defending national champion Hurricanes. This game would have a script made for Hollywood. Hurricane warnings couldn't have been more accurate as Miami stormed to a 31-0 halftime lead. Never before in major college football had a team recovered from such a deficit. Maryland fans were wondering if there was any hope left, and Miami couldn't wait for the comedy's second act to begin. Frank Reich, number 14, started the second half and hit Greg Hill for 1 score. Again, he threw deep, hitting Greg Hill to the 4. Miami players were stunned to see a determined Maryland offensive line dig in and fight back. Reich dove in to make it 31-14. After a Miami field goal and a 34-14 score, Reich hit Alvin Blount to make it 34-21. Miami suggested surrender, but Frank Reich put on an aerial show that included 2 more touchdown passes. He was matching Miami's noted Bernie Kosar score for score. Maryland had gone ahead of Miami 35-34 late in the fourth quarter, and Miami couldn't believe it. Maryland increased their lead to 42-34, and Miami was running out of time. They did score to come within two, 42-40, and Maryland braced for a two-point play. This was the biggest defensive play of the game for the Terps. Ida Covington came up big as he took the legs out from under the defending national champions. Frank Reich had thrown for 260 yards in the second half and was named Sports Illustrated Player of the Week. Bobby Ross was named UPI National Coach of the Week. And 5-3, Maryland had staged the greatest comeback in Division I football history. A rejuvenated Maryland team came home to play in neighboring Baltimore's Memorial Stadium. It was a sellout crowd for their biggest ACC game of the year. Over 60,000 came to see the Terps take on former national champion Clemson. A win here could mean a bowl game and a shot at the ACC title. Bobby Ross's young team had matured and was coming together physically and emotionally. A trademark of Bobby Ross coach teams is their commitment to each other. Before the short ride to Memorial Stadium in a packed house, Coach Ross led his team in prayer.
Heavenly Father, once again we ask that you be with us today and to give each and every one of these young men who have the ability to do what they can do, give them the desire and the intestinal fortitude and the character and all the things that are important to play to the level of ability that they are capable of playing.
Maryland fans and bowl officials were watching to see if the Terps could overcome the effects of their emotional win at Miami to defeat another national power. The last three national champions were on Maryland's schedule this season: Penn State, Miami, and now Clemson. One Clemson player misread his team's fortune for this day. Alvin Blount became the first opponent to rush for more than 200 yards against Clemson since 1976, as he gained 214 this day. Blount was named ACC Offensive Back of the Week as Maryland took the lead 7-0. Number 48, Tommy Neal, ran for 113 yards. In the second period, Clemson tied it, and on Maryland's next possession, Frank Reich picked up right where he left off at Miami, puncturing the Clemson secondary. All-American center Kevin Glover dominated Clemson's All-American nose guard, and Rick Badonic scored to put the Terps up 14-7. Right offensive tackle Jeff Halinka and Kevin Glover gave Reich all the time he needed to hit Eric Holder for good yardage. Clemson took a 17-14 lead, and with only seconds left in the first half, it was decision time.
Okay, it's going to be short, Coach. You want to go in?
How much? Take a timeout. Timeout,
You're
Ralph.
about a yard and a half
Time
short.
out!
You're a yard and a half short, Coach.
Okay, I want to go field goal.
Field goal.
Bobby Ross called for it, and Jess Atkinson delivered it. And the game was tied at the half at 17. The fun was just beginning for the Terrapin faithful. The second half would produce smiles and 24 Maryland points. Clemson, however, scored their final 6 points in the opening minute of the second half to go up momentarily 23-17. Alvin Blount took care of that lead 2 minutes later with a 13-yard run to pay dirt. It became 27-23 Maryland after a field goal. Frank Reich hit Greg Hill for 14 yards to start another drive. Tommy Neal carried the ball 15 yards and 2 defenders 4 yards for the turn out the lights touchdown. It was 34-23 Maryland, and another Neal run made the final Maryland 41, Clemson 23. Maryland was 4-0 in the ACC and 6-3 overall, and Maryland fans could smell another championship. Located on one of America's most beautiful campuses, Maryland offers its student athletes over 110 courses of study. The athletic department provides tutors and scholastic counselors to assist the young athlete towards his degree. There is a teacher for every 16 students. This small class environment fosters a quality education. Maryland came out dressed in white for their biggest game of 1984. Virginia was also 4-0 in conference play. It was a winner-take-all game. The defense stated their case early, shutting down the Cavaliers' running attack. Late in the first period, Virginia scored, however, to take a 7-3 lead. Frank Reich and Alvin Blount teamed up to move the Terps into field goal range for Atkinson, who made it a 7-6 game. After another Virginia touchdown made it 14-6, the stage was set for Rick Badonic to do his thing. "65 yards for the score, and Maryland went for 2. Badonic followed tremendous blocking to tie the game. Wright kept calling Badonic's number, and the fullback delivered as he had all season. When Wright found number 87, Izzuddin Abdur Rauf, over the middle, it was the beginning of the end. On the very next possession, number 55, All-American Eric Wilson picked off a Virginia pass and returned it 30 yards. With time running out, Atkinson booted a 28-yard field goal for a 24-14 lead at the half. It had become obvious to fans and sports writers that Maryland had become not only the class of the ACC, but a legitimate national power. More importantly, Bobby Ross had his team believing they could beat anyone. Virginia scored to make it closer 31-21, but that only angered Rick Badonic, who on the next series carried 72 yards to the 11. Tommy Neal gave his partner a rest and outlegged 3 Virginia defenders to the end zone. It was 38-21 Maryland, and Alvin Blount wanted to turn. The left side of the Terps' offensive line simply blew out their men and watched Alvin romp 72 yards for Maryland's final score. Maryland won it 45-34, and for Bobby Ross, an 8-3 season, another ACC crown, and an invitation to the Sun Bowl. This season was a stage for great Terp players like number 11, Chuck Fawcett, an honorable mention All-American. Number 38, Bobby DePaul. Number 3, Joe Kraus. Number 55, All-American Eric Wilson. Number 56, Scott Tye. And head coach Bobby Ross, who takes his second ACC title in 3 years. All-Americans Glover and Wilson celebrated, and some Maryland fans knew they'd win it all along. The Sun Bowl in El Paso, Texas. The 10th bowl in 12 years for Maryland. This game against the University of Tennessee had special meaning to Maryland players, as the Terps lost to the Volunteers in the Citrus Bowl last December. They would need another hair-raising comeback to avenge that loss. A record Sun Bowl crowd and a national TV audience watched as the pattern of Maryland's season unfolded in the first half. Nothing went right for the Terps as they fell behind 21-0 at the half. As they have done so many times this year, this tightly bonded group of athletes responded. Tommy Neal busted loose on a 57-yard touchdown run. The try for 2 failed, and it was 21-6. Jess Atkinson kicked a field goal, and it's 21-9. Bruce Messner recovered a Tennessee fumble on the 23, and Maryland had renewed life. A few plays later, Bodonic took it in, and the score was 21-15, as again the 2-point try didn't work. Late in the third period, Wright found Farrell Edmonds over the middle, and he scored. The extra point put Maryland ahead for the first time, 22-21. It didn't last long, though, as Tennessee scored on the next kickoff to take a 27-22 lead into the fourth quarter. It was only fitting that Rick Bodonic score the winning touchdown, and the defense held on for another dramatic come-from-behind win. It was a tribute to Bobby Ross, a man who never stopped believing in his players. The deep feelings this team had for each other will never be forgotten. Thoughts of 1985 are even brighter. Maryland football in 1984 under Bobby Ross was indeed the year of the comeback.